Testing microphone. ASMR, ASMR, ASMR. Right now, I don't even know which is which. Oh my god, we are all tired of Jada. I should have named this Jaded with Jada or Jaded of Jada. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. Sounds right, but doesn't make sense. I'm Amy Tiana. Welcome to Filter Off. When it comes to Jada, we need to take a step back and really try to understand her psychology and why she is the way she currently is. Let's go back to her past, her formative years, if you will. Chapter 1. Jada was born to parents who were drug addicts. Both her mom and dad were knee deep into the life of drugs. It gets so bad that her dad one day gets up and tells her he is leaving her because he cannot be a good father to her. Basically, he chose a life of drugs over her. And all of this while she was only a kid. Now imagine what that does to a kid. Her mom eventually marries another man who was a good and decent man, according to Jada. But he eventually leaves her mom because her mom wouldn't quit heroin. And by leaving her mom, it also means he left Jada. Cueing the early adult slash late teen years, and Jada herself goes into drug dealing. Jada becomes Pablo Escobar. This she would do until she nearly gets shot in the head one day. Let's come back to the Jada we've glimpsed in the last couple years. Jada grows up with a sort of psychological issue, creating something she herself calls the cycle of self hatred. This will then progress to become a problem in her romantic relationships. I'm gonna hypothesize here and list what I conclude her main romantic issues are. Number 1, trauma bonding. Number 2, codependency. Number 3, avoidance attachment. Now, I'm not even sure that all three are exclusive. Again, they're all hypotheses. Yep. She actually admits to one of the hypotheses, trauma bonding. She said that she was deeply drawn to troubled guys. Yeah, she said it. She said it. It is also worth mentioning that she used to tag herself as unlovable, and this was the origin that birthed the remaining attachment styles she would later pick up in life. How did she come up with the tag unlovable itself? Easy. From being abandoned by her father slash father figures she had in her formative years. This thing can really mess up the brain of a child, guys. It can. Show some compassion, okay? Okay. Chapter 2. Meeting Will Smith. Jada and Will met when she auditioned for a part on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Sorry, Gen Z. Y'all don't know this show, most likely. Sorry. Tragic. I move on. She didn't get the part though. I think something about her height. I'm not sure. But bottom line, she never got the part. It was alright though. She and Will met each other. She didn't like him as a romantic partner at the time at first, which she admits to, and the media will not let her breathe because she admitted to that fact, as though females tend to like every man that hit them up at first, as though it is not normal. But Smith knew she didn't like him romantically, he knew it. But he, on the other hand, he liked her romantically and in every way possible. He liked her, and he did what any normal, healthy male would do: pursue her. Now, this is the part that makes me chuckle every time I read the present day male's comments. The comments about Will going after a woman who wasn't interested in him in the first place. I mean, come on. Isn't this what men do? Pursue women? especially the ones who aren't interested in them. It's what y'all do. It's in y'all nature, so stop it. Give Will Smith a break, the break he deserves. Thank you. But I digress. Will eventually convinces Jada to be his woman. They get married. She admits that she didn't want to get married at first, which the media again will not let the woman breathe as though every woman wanted to marry the man who wanted to marry them at first. Moving on. They get married. All is well at first, and they start building a family, having kids and raising them. Jada subconsciously takes the back seat without even realizing it. A programming ingrained somewhere buried deep in the female DNA. I don't know who wrote the code, I don't know who did the programming, but somebody sure did. Anyways, Will goes on to thrive, dominate, and conquer the movie world, and as a byproduct, the entire world, becoming the Will Smith we all know. And what happens to Jada, or what happened to Jada? Well, her own career slows down, her identity becomes attached to that of her husband, Will. And she was no longer the Jada. The Jada who could pull anyone had mad riz, including pulling the Tupac. Chapter 3. Jada, the discontent. Slowly, without her realizing it, discontentment creeps in and settles in. It grows and blossoms into full blown resentment. She becomes jealous of her husband, Will Smith. Before you activate your judgment mode, I will need you to pause. This is normal human behavior. Resentment is very common amongst all of us human species. I know, I sound like a scientist studying a lab rat, but hear me out. Remember earlier I stated her attachment styles? Okay, fine, my theory at best. A person who has those attachment styles is prone to self destruct, and that is exactly what Jada goes on to do. Don't get me wrong, Will is not blameless in all of this. Certain things and behaviors he exhibited are definitely contributing factors. If you calm down and watch their show, The Red Table Talk, you'd see a bit of what I mean. In her recent interview on the Diary of a CEO podcast, she mentioned some ways Will contributed in her falling deeper into that rabbit hole. Now, I'm not saying Will Smith is to blame for Jada's entire outcome, for the lack of a better word. I'm just carrying you along the journey of my theory of Jada's psychology. Chapter 4. Tupac. Jada attended the Baltimore School of the Arts in Maryland. They were both teenagers. In the Diary of a CEO podcast, she stated that she met him in the hallway while in school one day and that his charisma, aka Riz, was too dope to be ignored. Please note, this isn't a direct quote from her, but my own wording, if you will. They become friends and get very close. They both loved each other, but contrary to what is widely circulated by media, it wasn't romantic. It wasn't romantic, I repeat, at least not physically. Have you ever seen someone and instantly recognize that they're your soulmate, but also know that physically it cannot work? Have you? Yep, that was the exact case with both of them. The funny thing is, Tupac once proposed to her. He was jailed for some time, and Jada was the one who would come often, and she never abandoned him. He proposed via a letter. He also famously wrote a poem he titled Jada. Yeah, I know, corny, but I like it, cute. In the poem, he wrote, "You're my heart in human form. You will never fully understand how deeply my heart feels for you." End quote. It may have been longer, but that's what I pulled off the internet. I admit I was lazy and didn't want to dig deeper. I was lazy, I beg, leave me. Before I start wishing they had shipped, know that they were both bad for each other romantically. It was toxic, bro. For example, she was ending her drug career while he was just beginning to enter into that life. They also used to fight and argue a lot, a whole lot. Recipe for disaster. So, in my opinion, Will Smith was definitely better for her. Period. Chapter 5. Conclusion. I'm not saying Jada is wholly innocent or free of any blame. For instance, her having that entanglement, in her own words, with a distraught and grieving young August Alsina was a definite and total no-no. Trauma bonding much. And if I'm being honest, roles reversed and Will Smith was the one entangled in that same situation, most likely he would have been hung and skewered on the gallows of public opinion. True. I think my intention with this episode on the Jada psychology is an attempt to correct some misconceptions surrounding Jada and try to maybe get you to be somewhat empathetic towards her. A lot of the news surrounding her are false, and you should do your own research, not go based off of hearsay. Jada's going through a whole lot. She's going through a crazy phase in her existence, and while I secretly wish she could quietly let it phase out, I understand that the voices inside are screaming a bit too loudly in her head. This is how she knows to let it out. Oh, one final thing. Stop blaming her for Will's slap. It is not her fault. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking a part in this episode of Filter Off. I enjoyed working on this project, and I hope you did too. Enjoy watching it, that is. It was so fun going through her psychology and trying to diagnose her with my zero certificate. That was fun. It was. Yeah. Let me know in the comments who you want me to do next, and it will be nice to practice my quack doctorism, if that's an actual word. I'm not sure. I am so grateful to have you guys. If you liked it so much, please share, like, comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know who else you would want me to diagnose. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. It will mean a lot to me, and it will help me to keep on giving you guys all this, fake diagnosis. I'm Amy Tiana, and this is Filter Off. Bye bye.